Hello everybody, James here, Ask Dutch Anything, episode 76. It's the missing episode that we did from last week, so I'm actually, because we can't ever remember anything that happened, we're going to ask a couple of the questions again before the computer died, but I've changed one up. For the very first one, we watched something, it wasn't even a good clip, so we didn't even bother with it in the end. But before we do, to email this show, it's out every single Sunday on all podcast platforms and on YouTube as well. You go to questionsfordutch@gmail.com, you make your request there, you send your email there. Best questions will make it into the script. This script is from last week, so obviously we'll catch up again with a lot of your questions more recently for upcoming episodes. But first, someone, I can't remember who, tagged me in a post on YouTube, on Twitter, and wanted you to get your reaction to it. So it's a botch, I think, but we're going to show it to you and see what you think. So 1 second, Dutch. Right. So apologies, I can't remember who tagged me in it, but get away. Here we go. This is from Righteous Reg, apparently. So I'll just put the audio on a tiny bit, and you tell us what we're seeing.
Ben. Killer Kelly flagrant vote. Oh, no!
I'm muting that.
Did you see that landing?
That guy, wait a minute. You say this is a bot?
A botch, not a bot.
Oh, a botch. Oh, okay.
It's not an automaton doing this.
Do it again.
Killer Kelly
oh, my God. And what was he trying to do?
I'm not quite sure. It's almost like a Fosbury flop.
Wait a minute. Is that a woman outside?
Yes.
And he was trying to hit that person, I guess. I don't know what he was trying to do. He didn't even aim for them. And, oh, yeah, they ducked. I got. And, oh.
So was he relying on her to catch him?
I don't know what he was doing. She was ducking. And he went over. You know, you can't fix stupid. You just can't do that. And he goes over and he misses the spot and he had to knock himself the hell out. Damn, but damn wonder he got up.
Mutiny, those commentators were awful.
Okay, there's a woman laying down there. I don't know what she's got to do with it. Here's a referee around checking on him. I don't even know if he can talk.
One more time.
What's that guy? Who's it selling? He ducks, the guy on the apron ducks. And then when we go back to him after this, after the referee talks to him, the guy's selling something. I don't know what he's at. He didn't get hit. Look at that. Oh, he's holding his head.
Did you see that? I just realized, he just noticed that the camera's on him, so he thought, I'd best sell.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know what he's selling. So did the guy get up? Where's this from?
This is just some indie somewhere. I don't know what it is. I just got tagged this. So it says #Revolver Unreal. So I guess that's something to do with it. But look at this just one more time. Fosbury flop. Look how high up on his head he lands.
Oh. And I want to know, I don't know what that was intended to do other than kill him. Halfway kill him anyway.
Like, how could you
What if somebody told you, okay, James, I want you to come and do your big dive over the top rope. I'm going to duck it, and you take the big bump outside. And you say, oh, yeah, I can't wait to do it. And apparently he couldn't wait to do it because he didn't hold back on this thing. He threw himself over there. He's 10 feet in the air anyway when he takes off.
He must have gone to the woman there, right, and said, right, can you catch me? I'll be flying through the air. I'm 200 pounds or whatever I am, 180 pounds of muscle. Can you catch me? It's like, no, obviously you can't.
Oh, my gosh.
She even turns away because it's like, geez, Louise. What was the best he was hoping for?
Look at that female. She's all splattered out over there. Is it almost, was he expecting somebody to catch him or what?
I don't know.
He's backwards anyway.
Yeah, I mean, who could catch that unless there was like 2 or 3 big men to catch him?
That's right. You know, you can weigh 250 pounds and a 200-pound guy come and you think you could handle him. No, he's gonna hurt you. He's got speed and the momentum behind him. And some of these guys, they do things that I cannot believe they do. And like we were talking back on the show about the guy hitting his head on the ring apron, this could have killed him. Do we have a prognosis on his condition?
No,
Did
I
he
don't even
walk
know who it
away or
is.
no?
I don't even know who it is. So there you go.
None of the comments say anything.
Took a nasty spill and was knocked out. The match was stopped instantly. Well, at least the match was stopped. I know a lot of indies where they wouldn't even bother stopping it. Myron was examined at the hospital. It was being released without any serious damage. So there you go. So he wasn't too badly hurt, at least.
Oh,
but yeah, that's a bad one.
That is a bad one.
You don't even need a ladder to jump off something to try and kill yourself these days. Oh,
sometimes the guy's athleticism, exceeds his ability to recover. I don't know why they would do that, but hope he's okay.
Next.
And to all the up and coming wrestlers out there, guys, don't do that. Tell a story. The best thing to do is, if he'd have landed on his feet, been one thing. But he didn't. He just went over backwards and hit his head and his shoulders. And this is up top is a bad place to hit because he was upside down and his feet was, going the other way. Don't do that.
Next question. Juan from Jersey says, Dear Dutch, I wanted to know about your thoughts on Kevin Nash's comments on wrestlers not selling in 2025. Speaking during a recent episode of Click This, I believe, Nash said that there is a difference between selling a move and registering one. To Nash, the difference is major when performing in front of a live audience. Here's the quote. What I'm noticing more and more is nobody sells. Everybody registers, Nash said. They register what's happening to them, but then it's a turnaround, and it's like nobody sells. Registering is like a brief reaction, where you're selling is like you're in trouble, like you're curling up in a ball. Nash then reflected on a past match with Diamond Dallas Page as an example. I can remember a specific time when I was working with Dallas, and I would do something, said Nash. I'd cut him off, and I would just tell him, just sell till I come back on you. That doesn't mean everyone isn't doing this, though. Nash recently praised a match between AJ Styles and Finn Balor as one where both were performing well. I thought that was an excellent match. I really enjoyed watching that. There was many times where they register, and then the times where they sold as well. So the difference between registering and selling, and are people not selling enough?
There is a difference, a huge difference. If a guy hits you, say a punch, to register the punch, to register means react to just what happened. And you go down and you're selling. Now the selling comes in with, you got to, in your mind, is the punch strong enough to really sell it? And if it is, go over there and hug a rope or something till the guy comes back to you. I agree with Kevin because a lot of people register, but that's just a brief reaction to what happened. To sell it means you have to sell it after the fact. Say you get hit with a drop kick in the head, go down, and of course you're selling it by you going down. But now you register it by going down. To sell it, you got to tell the people that drop kick hurt and keep selling it, and the guy stays on you and keeps selling it. Or if you hurt the leg and just selling it, just limp on it. A lot of guys, they hurt their leg and all of a sudden they're up like nothing's happened. But the smart guys get up and they will do a kick and then go back and sell their leg. They're trying to get the story across that they're really wrestling on one leg, and it can be done. But only guys that even think about that are the guys with 10 years experience, like AJ and Finn Balor. They would think to do that. But I was there. You get poked in the eye, and then you make just a little comeback to get him off of you, and then go back, and now you're fighting him off, trying to get your eye. You hope it gets better. That's what it is. But a lot of guys do register, and it's a lost art, basically. And, I think we were talking on the show. Who were the two guys who wanted each other to go over? Who were those?
Adam Page and Will Ospreay.
Yeah. Ospreay is the world's worst. He's a tremendous athlete. He really is. But he doesn't sell anything. Everything's a register and up, register and up, register and up. But after a while, the people said, what can kill this guy? What can hurt this guy? And apparently it takes more than what the other guys got to get him to really sell it. But there is a difference. And if you just studied a little bit, it's not hard to see. Just figure it out for yourself. See, a lot of guys are afraid to slow the match down because they're moving at such a fast clip. They don't want to slow it down. But guys that know what they're doing, they know exactly how to slow it down, and that tells a story too.
Do you think wrestlers these days, by and large, are afraid of silence? They're always trying to keep the crowd up instead of, naturally arcing and troughing, I guess, to elicit a big reaction.
Go to Japan. You'll be damn performing to silence because the only thing they get up for is a comeback. I mean, you throw a punch or the guy throws a punch, they'll get up and then sit right back down. Whoa, another big one. So you can tell when the guy's punching the other guy, even standing outside of the arena. If you had a wall there, wow. Puerto Rico, the same thing. Wow. But the steady build is an American thing, and he's trying to go, and the people are. But I haven't seen that in, I don't know, 20 years, really, 15 years, I guess. But when you're telling that story and that babyface is trying to finally tell the story to where he's getting strong enough to make the comeback, the fans will get with him.
So to a prospective young wrestler out there who, wants to improve their selling, name 3 wrestlers who you would say, go and watch their matches, only look at how they sell?
AJ is one.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, he sells great. The guy who used to be the world's greatest seller was an old-timer named Dickie Steinborn. He was tremendous. But see, he would sell it with his body. He wasn't a big guy either. He was only like 200 pounds, 205. Good-looking guy. And he'd wrestle those big monsters and when they would really start on him, he would sell it with his face, with his body. See, when I was a baby face and the heel got on me too much, hell, I would take the walk. You see a heel get out of the ring and walk around. I would do it. But it made sense when I did it. I wanted the guy so at least I could see him coming. And then I would get out and walk around and roll back in. And then the guy come at me, I'd roll out the other side. But it made sense because I was biding time. I was trying to just get away from him long enough to get a second breath, to get courage up, or to do anything, just get away from him. But it made sense at the time. I think I was the only babyface who ever ran from a heel. But they never said, "You chicken shit bastard." They saw what I was doing because he was laying on me and I was trying to get away from him. It really made sense. I thought it did. I mean, I heard anybody tell me don't do that because it makes you look bad. I thought it made me look smarter. I would think, if that's possible.
Well, that's 2 of them. Would you name a third then? So I think in the last time, because this is about where the computer
Well, you give
crashed.
me somebody.
Well, I think last time you said Ricky Morton and Ricky Steamboat.
Steamboat was one, right? Dick Steinborn and the guy who married one of the twins. What's his name?
John Cena or Bryan Danielson?
Danielson. Tremendous. Very good.
When did wrestlers stop selling? Do you remember there was a time where that
I don't
art just
know,
became lost?
I think that's the independent influence. See, they're trying to show you how much they can do by doing everything. see, when you send say you want to get booked somewhere and you send, this is what I've seen guys do. They send the tape in, but the tape is with a full match. Well, no booker is going to sit there and watch a full match. You don't have time to do that. But now somebody told them, just take clips, clip here, clip here, clip here, edit here, and just send them about 60 seconds and a little bit of a brief interview at the end. And now he's the booker. If he wants to book you, he kind of knows what he's getting. But if you got a whole match, he's not going to sit there and watch all this stuff. He don't have time. He's seen 10 million matches anyway. So that's what they will send in. And then when they started selling is sometimes you'll get in front of a hot crowd. And if they're inexperienced, they will give it 120%. And the crowd's really going nuts. And it is an achievement. But, you can't do after you learn to work and you get into a program with another opponent, there's different ways you have to attack the problem of making it interesting enough for them to buy another ticket to come see. This is not an easy business to learn.
Next question. Adam says, hello, James and Dutch. I was listening to Jim Cornette's podcast and he made a bold prediction regarding John Cena's heel run. He believes that Cena will retire as a heel. He said he believes that there's no way for Cena to turn back face after eviscerating the fans. What do you think of this take?
Nothing's impossible. Of course he could turn back babyface. Easy. All he'd have to do is pick the top heel, and then him and the heel have a big falling out. Yeah, nothing's impossible. I do think he will end his career. I think he would like to end it as a babyface. I think he would. But I think that might mess their plans up. I can't disagree with what Jim said because I don't know. He doesn't know either. We're just guessing. And probably the best thing to do is leave him like he is. And if you want to turn him babyface, if this is his last go around, which I don't believe for a second that we're not going to see him anymore, yeah, it doesn't matter how he's left. I think him leaving babyface or him leaving heel, he's still got a story to tell. But I think probably they may leave him that way, or they could turn him, but he's got to have a match coming up. They have to work another angle with it to cement him back in the babyface role. Make sense?
I think the heel.
I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters.
Well, here's the thing. Like, he's going out on shows, and then, after the cameras stop rolling, the fans are still chanting "Thank you, Cena," etc., etc. So everyone's playing along. But the thing is, ultimately, Cena's reasons for turning heel weren't that satisfactory anyway. Ultimately, after The Rock stopped being involved, so it made no real sense. And now, I don't know. I mean, it started off well, but there's no teeth to it anyway. So, I mean, I don't think it'd be that big of a deal to just turn back babyface at all.
No, it's not. They can leave him heel, or he's still going to be John Cena, regardless. I think he needs to get the mic and ask the people in his last match, do you think I've killed the business enough? Get out of here, you bastard. But the people, you can tell they still respect him. They respect John Cena. So whether he leaves as a heel or as a babyface, in the total scheme of things, I don't think it matters.
Next question. In fact, I remember this question because this is the one where my computer actually crashed in the middle of it. So I remember starting talking about this. It's from Hippie Steve from Clackamas, Oregon. Dear Dutch and James, this question is for both of you. What were your thoughts on Jimmy Del Rey as a wrestler? I grew up during the New Generation era and thought that he was the highlight of just about every match he was in. I loved his entrance, his character, and in-ring style. Do you think he would have been a bigger name in the wrestling business if controversy didn't get in his way? So, Jimmy Del Rey and your dealings with him. Did you meet him first in Smoky Mountain?
Yeah. Okay, let's take a question at a time. Do I think he would have been a bigger name in wrestling? No, I don't. Guy weighs 200 pounds, and the guy didn't have an outstanding body. He was a pretty decent performer. But the thing that held Jimmy Del Rey back was I don't think he was held in high regard by the other guys. I really don't. Because I think he had some flaws, and I'm not going to go into them, but he had flaws that didn't make him stand out amongst his peers. So I don't think he would have been a bigger star, and I don't think he was better than a lot of other guys. I think he was actually run of the mill, really. He took a lot of good bumps, and he could probably make you mad, but I don't know. A lot of people can do that. So what was the other question? Was there another question?
Well, I just said, do you think he could have been a bigger name, I guess?
No.
That was pretty much it. No, I kind of agree. I think he reached his ceiling. I mean, he did decently enough for a couple of years. But okay, so we actually, before my computer crashed, we got to this last time, and we were talking about it. As we're talking about his out-of-the-ring habits, which were very distasteful, know, going towards women especially, and he was a bit of a slimy character in that regard.
I'm glad you said that to keep me from saying it.
Well, you know, if the stories are true, because...
But I told you the story where I think it was Jacksonville.
Yeah, it was Tatanka who ended up getting blamed for something he had nothing to do with, and it turned out it was Jimmy Del Rey who allegedly had...
well, this is, I don't know if Jimmy Del Rey did this or not, but he was involved in it. We wasn't in a hotel, we was in a motel. And I was out going to do something. We'd all got back. We'd been back about an hour, and I went out to get something to eat or get a drink or something. And somebody, I think it was Jimmy Del Rey, that stopped me and said, "Hey, you need to go in here and see this girl." I went, "What girl?" "Oh, man, she's in there and she's doing this and she's all messed up." That's all I needed to hear. I literally wanted to run away and get as much distance between me and that room as possible. So I went down the next morning, and the police were there, and that girl walked in. They had shaved half her head, and I told the story, right?
I don't know if we ever told it on this show or not, but carry on.
They had shaved half her head, and she was still, you could tell she didn't have any hose on. She had a dress on, and she was drunk as hell still. And she was getting the police there. And now that's when I said, you made the right decision last night when you got away from that room. I don't think anything happened out of that encounter in that room, but I didn't even want to hear it. And it didn't make anybody in that room seem more special. It was slimy, like he said, and I wanted to get away from it. Now, what they did, they took that girl in there and they gave her a couple of pills, knocked her out. If that had been my sister or a friend of mine, I'd have been hunting some guys down. I really would have.
So when I mentioned Tatanka, for some reason he got suspended for it, even though apparently he had nothing to do with anything. He just happened to be maybe at the wrong place at the wrong time or whatever it was. But yeah, with Jimmy Del Rey, he was fine. I mean, I still say Dr. Tom was a far better wrestler than Jimmy Del Rey. I always thought Dr. Tom was the better wrestler of the two.
Oh, he was. And more interesting.
Yeah.
Cornette was their manager and still
more interesting. Yeah, he was the third most overact in the Heavenly Bodies
in the group, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
There's something about him.
No, I don't think Jimmy Del Rey may have been entertaining, and he probably was, but there was nothing outstanding about him, especially his interviews. He couldn't talk, and he could take a I don't know what made him stand out. Whoever wrote this, who wrote this?
Oh, a fella called, one sec, Adam.
What's his name? Kevin?
Adam.
Well, but it's not up to me. It's up to you whether you thought he was that way or not. You were a fan of his. I, however, was not.
Next question. Corey from Wisconsin. Hi, Dutch. Recently, Hornswoggle signed a WWE Legends contract. I was wondering what you think about him being considered a legend. Thank you.
He is a legend. That's why he signed the Legends contract. Hornswoggle, to me, is very interesting. I liked his work in the ring. I liked whatever he did. And I think if anybody could be considered a legend, Hornswoggle certainly qualifies. He may not have drawn big houses, but I don't know any of the little people who did. But when you see one of his matches, even with a regular size wrestler, it was still entertaining. So my congratulations to him for signing a Legends contract, because to me, he's a legend to me. And I think he's a legend to a million other wrestling fans too.
You were on the card Extreme Rules 2014 when Hornswoggle had the WLC match. Any chance you remember, which was the with the mini ladders? So it's basically a midget ladder match.
Well,
any memory of that? No.
I remember it. I didn't watch it. Did you watch it?
I watched it at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's different. And you know those little. So you can't call them midgets anymore. You know that, right?
No, Hornswoggle or Dylan calls himself a midget. He's a midget wrestler. That's the preferred.
Yeah, but we can't call him. But no, he was very talented, and they had a step ladder match, right?
Yeah, basically.
That's what it was. So that was okay. That was fun. You can do a lot of things with those guys. And years ago, they were like the girls. The females would come in and make the route. They'd usually come in, say in a regular territory. They'd come in and they'd stay 2 weeks, and they'd make the A towns the first week, and then the second week they'd make the B towns. So they made both towns, and then the little people, midgets as you call them, not my word, your word, and the little people would do the same thing when they would come in. They would make the A towns. Then the next week they'd make the B towns. Then they'd go, and you wouldn't see them again for 6 months.
So it's funny. I'm just looking at this. There's El Torito versus Hornswoggle. That was the first match, and then the second match was you. It was Cesaro versus Rob Van Dam versus Jack Swagger. So you were right after it as well.
Oh, we followed the match?
Yeah. I mean, how can you follow that? But you did.
Oh, easy. Easy.
I was just thinking as well, because we watched quite a while ago, I think it was like on Main Event, which is, the kid-friendly B show that you were on, and it was you and Jack. I don't know if it was you, Jack, and Cesaro. And you were in the ring with Hornswoggle and the Great Khali.
Oh, God, that's a classic, I guess. Has to be.
Yeah.
What did we do?
I was hoping you'd tell me, because I remember we watched it. I can't remember what you did.
I don't remember that really.
It was something ridiculous, but yeah. So how is Dylan then in real life for you then? Just easy to get along? Everyone always says he's a total bully.
Well, no, I always found him very, very pleasant to be around. And, a lot of those little people, they're a little bit, I don't want to say that, but some of them are slow, but not him. He was sharp as a tack, funny, and I guess he would be good to make a trip with, because I think he's a good conversationalist. He can carry conversation, and I enjoyed being around him.
Next question from Che. Hi, Dutch and James. Hope all is well. Just wondered what Dutch made of Judas Mesias in TNA, a.k.a. Puerto Rican wrestler Ricky Banderas. Thought he came across as a real compelling force on television and enjoyed his story with Father James Mitchell and Abyss. Many thanks. So I don't know anything really about Judas Mesias / Ricky Banderas. Your thoughts?
Okay. He changed his name when he went to Mexico. What was his name in Mexico? The
I've only got Ricky Banderas and Judas Mesias.
Banderas, and what was his name in Mexico?
Well, in TNA, Judas Mesias.
That was his name in Mexico. Judas Mesias. See, I kind of invented him in Puerto Rico. He was there when I took over the book, and I looked at this guy and I said, damn, this guy's got talent. I mean, he wasn't a big guy, but his talent was really off the charts. And I brought him to TNA, and I don't know what happened to him there. I think he had some people who didn't much like him. And I said, hey, the guy can go. I mean, the guy, anybody, we could put him in there with AJ. And I said, he will stay with AJ. And he wasn't there long, but he had some great matches with Abyss, who I give the name to, by the way. Mm-hmm. He had great matches with Abyss. He had them with Abyss in Puerto Rico. So I knew what he could do. All you had to do was, he wasn't good on interviews, so that's what a manager's for. Put a manager with him, and I think we left money laying on the table by not utilizing Judas Mesias better in TNA. I know we did.
And he is currently working for AAA. So I guess he's a WWE contractor wrestler if he's wrestling for them.
Well, I don't know how old he is now. He's got to be 40.
50.
Is that how old he is?
Yeah.
Boy, when I found him, that kid was red hot. And he was very, very talented and very good.
I'm just looking, TNA Against All Odds 2008, Barbed Wire Massacre. Abyss defeated Judas Mesias in 15 minutes. He would wrestle Rhino, Eric Young, Senshi, Abyss again, who he beat Abyss actually at Final Resolution. Elix Skipper. He really wouldn't be on the show that much. He returned TNA one night only in 2013, but I believe he's had much better success in Mexico since.
Yeah, he has. But he always wanted to get out of there. I don't think he had. See, I did all I could for him in TNA, but somehow I don't think the bean counters liked him that much, and it was hard to bring him in.
Okay, well, why didn't they like him?
I would have went with him, huh?
Why didn't they like him then? Did you ever get any word?
I have no idea. You won't get an answer out of them because, I don't. I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna ask Vince. I'm gonna see him Friday. I'm gonna ask him, and I'll ask Jeff too.
Yeah, I'd like to know that.
Somehow what I got was that he wasn't highly, highly sought after, but they didn't see the things from him that I did.
Next question from Dwayne says, hey, James and Dirty Dutch, love the show. In the early 80s, Dutch and Bill Dundee had a bullwhip match with no ropes on the ring. Okay, right, I've already underscored this because I didn't understand it. First man to get off the match or whatever. What were the rules to this?
One man to whip the other man off the ring.
Okay.
No ropes. So if I backed him up enough, pow, 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 and somehow he was, if I could get him to go off the ring platform, I would win.
So it's like a sumo match almost then.
Was that my idea?
Yeah, how did the match come about?
Hell if I know, but I wish whoever thought of that. I hated that match.
Why?
That match hurt it did hurt like hell. I mean, a bullwhip hurts. And unless the guy really knows how to throw it, and Dundee did. I'm not saying he didn't, but it was kind of a hard match to go through. And you'd have to take a couple pops with it. See, I hate pain. I hate that. But that wasn't the only bullwhip match I had. I had a scaffold match with a bullwhip. Bullwhip match on a scaffold. and he had a whip and I had a whip, and he won the one on the scalpel and I won the one on the ring thing. But what I still remember the finish from the ropes being down. I think somehow he got my whip, and now he had two whips and he had them in both hands and he was doing like this. And finally I grabbed the whip and I pulled and then I forgot how, but I got his whip from him, then got the other one. Then I took his whip and threw it out of the ring. For him to retrieve his own whip would mean what?
Losing.
He'd have to get on the floor, and he couldn't do it. He's trying to get mine, and I whipped him off of it. People liked it. We went about 10 minutes. Then I went back and cried because I had my marks all over me around the legs and all. So a bullwhip is a good gimmick until you have to use it on somebody or them use it on you. Now, I could use it on somebody and not hurt them. They couldn't because they didn't know what to do with it. And they just beat the crap out of you. And you have to watch a bullwhip because when that tip comes at you, if it catches you in the eye, that's trouble. You know what makes it pop, right?
Yeah. Speed of sound. Breaking it, yeah.
It's traveling faster
So they say.
than the speed of sound. Hey, learning the bullwhip, I like to have beat myself half to death because I taught myself. I had nobody to teach me, but I saw it. Ox Baker had a whip, and I says, "What do you want for that whip?" He said, "Oh, I don't know." And I said, "I'll give you $10 or something." He said, "Sold." So I gave him $10 and I took the whip. And I knew nothing about it. And this was before the days of Google and all these other research things you could go to, or even computers. So I was trying to teach myself. So I would get out in my front yard and I throw it out there, but then I would pull it back. Somebody told me later, don't ever do that, because when you throw it out there and you pull it back, it's coming back at you almost the same speed you threw it out there. I said, well, how do you do it? And finally, I think it was like a month later, somebody said, you throw it out there and let it catch on its own. That's why it pops. Then when it kills its own power, then you can pull it back. So when I learned that, okay, I got it. I remember one time in Memphis, I was against Phil Hickerson, and he was standing over there in the corner, and he had a baseball cap on. And I didn't intend to do this. I threw it out. I was going to pop it right in front of him. It hit the very end of that cap and peeled it off of him. And the crowd went, woo. And Phil went, woo. And I went, woo. So, but anyway, I've enjoyed the whip. I really enjoyed that.
I was thinking WCW tried to do that as well. Not with the WCW tried to do the match as well. They didn't take the ropes down, but they had like first person to land on the floor loses. And it was like Dean Malenko versus like Billy Kidman or something.
What kind of a match?
It was just basically first person who lands on the floor loses kind of thing.
Yep.
But no one bothered to tell Dean Malenko the rules. So he just rolled out after a minute and he was declared the loser on a pay-per-view.
So nobody told him that the first one hits the floor loses?
No.
You got to be kidding me.
No, so he just went on the floor and lost. It's a pretty WCW thing to do, isn't it?
It is.
Right, next question. We've got a few left. Rockies fan Denver says, greetings, guys. Just found your podcast. Love it. A bit of background. I am totally blind. Been listening to wrestling since I was 6 years old in California. Or Southern California. So being blind, the announcers are critical for me to enjoy the product. What are your thoughts on I'm reading how it's saying it. The best commentators, my opinion, is Gordon Soley and Lance Russell. Your thoughts, Dutch? Love the podcast.
Oh, I would agree. But I would put Lance in front of Gordon. Gordon has a type voice. He has an unusual voice. Where Lance has a smooth a smooth voice, so he can make like cow poo poo, look like cream or sound like cream. But I would say there's one more in there you got to include, and that's JR. Because JR, I think JR, not necessarily the moves, where that was Gordon's specialty, naming the moves, and even Lance. But I think Lance was the smoothest. I think JR was the most excitable. And you never saw really Gordon Soley really get excited. But if you're listening to it, they would really give you, and especially as this gentleman was talking about, he's blind. So he has to have things explained to him. And I think any one of those can explain it to you. Who would you rate number one announcer of all time up to now?
Do you know what's funny is because there's even been a blind commentator with Leroy McGurk. Isn't that right?
And he commentated too?
He commentated, yeah.
How could he commentate?
Well, I think whoever it was, I think it might have been Jim Ross who was doing the lead. And
I never met him.
And then Leroy would just sort of just feel out the crowd and just agree with whatever Bill Watts or JR or whoever he was commentating would, he basically just guess what was happening and then, just go off the sound of the fans, I guess.
Yeah, Leroy McGurk, he was blind. What was his daughter's name?
Mike McGurk.
Mike McGurk.
Yeah.
Nice lady.
Yeah.
I met her a couple of times. But I would say I would put, of all of them, play-by-play, I would have to put JR. But overall, I would put Lance. And I would rate them JR, Lance, and Gordon.
In that order?
Yeah, probably. They were all good.
Okay, two more questions. Chadwick from California says he would like to know your opinion on Del Wilkes, a.k.a. the Patriot. His WWF run was cut short due to a triceps injury, and then he promptly retired. Now, I don't know if you ever met Del Wilkes. Did you ever?
I did. I met him.
Okay, any opinions on the... Because he was a huge dude. He was like 6'4", ripped up former American footballer.
I don't know if he was 6'4", but he was a big guy. I think he was from South Carolina too. I'm pretty sure he was from there. Good guy. The Patriot was really a good gimmick for him because he was the first one to do a gimmick like that. And the Patriot, how are you going to boo a Patriot? So he went to the ring. He looked good. Apparently he represented the United States. So, hey, the Patriot would be a good idea to bring back now in the States.
Yeah,
I think he would get over. Yeah, he was good, and there was some problem with the Patriot gimmick later on. Yeah, somebody said he bought it or something, and Dale Wilkes said, "Hell no, you didn't buy it." Or who was that?
I'm going to tell you exactly who it was. Do you remember Salvatore Sincere in the WWF?
Salvador Sincere?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had breakfast with him. No.
What's his name? He was in the WWF at the same time as you. Tom Brandy's his real name.
But I knew him, yes.
Yeah. So, Tom Brandy apparently claimed that he had bought the rights to the Patriot gimmick, and then he was saying this for years, that he was the Patriot and such. And according to Del, many years after this was all taking place, because Del Wilkes was a drug addict, he got lost in pills for many, many, many years, as bad as Kurt Angle did. Basically.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so when he started,
why did he quit the bit? He got hurt.
Yeah, he injured himself. He was only in the WWF for 3 months, got a triceps injury, and just retired. He was done. Never wrestled again. Left the business, and then he was deep in addiction for a lot of years as well. So he really was away from the business. And then at some point he found out that Tom Brandy, this is all according to Del, before he died, obviously, Tom had said to people that he bought the Patriot gimmick and that he was performing as the Patriot on indie shows for years and years.
Yep.
And he also claimed that he bought the gimmick, he bought the character, he bought the masks and everything. And then when Del caught wind of it, he said, that never happened. I never sold him that character. He's been doing this using my trademark property illegally for years.
Was it trademarked?
Well, maybe it wasn't. Maybe that was the problem then. He didn't trademark
I think that was before the guys really learned about the trademark. You know, I should have trademarked Dirty. Then they couldn't have called Dominic Dirty Dominic.
Well, they could have, but made a contribution to you.
Well, hey, the Dirties have a long line of alumni,
like a long, dirty line they've left. Streak.
You know who was the first Dirty? I stole it too.
Well, it's the original. Well, it wasn't, because the original Dutch Mantell wasn't Dirty Dutch Mantell. He was just Dutch Mantell.
He wasn't.
Dick Murdoch, Dick Slater, or are we going earlier?
Probably Murdoch, Dirty Dick, which has a ring to it, Dirty Dick. But hey, Murdoch was an ultimate heel. Oh man, I watched him one night. I was in WCW. I don't know if it was WCW. I think it was Atlantic Coast Wrestling. I guess that's what it was then. He went into the ring with some guy, and it was just what we call a spot show. And they probably had 1,500 people in the building, so they were live. I watched him sell. You know, we talked on the show about registering and selling. Mm-hmm. He sold an arm drag, I swear to God, for 7 minutes. And he would walk, he would take the arm drag and get up and sell it, and would walk out, and he was making faces, and the people were all over him. He was a one-man show, and the people were going insane. And he would get back and he'd hold his bag and he'd bag off, and then he'd lock up, and the guy would do another arm drag, and all the place would explode. Then he'd roll out and like try to call timeout. I wish I had that on tape. It was so entertaining because it was a high school gym, but I was upstairs, tremendous viewpoint. So I watched him, and he came back in the dressing room. I said, I have never seen that before in my life. He said, come on, kid. You had to see it somewhere else. Nope. No. I said, I've seen it, but not done the way you did it. And he loved that. So that's like another talent telling somebody they enjoyed the match. That's the ultimate compliment when you tell them, I really, really enjoyed it. And I did. And Dick was a good guy. I was with him in Puerto Rico one time, and he told this guy to do something. And this guy was big. This guy was 6'10", about, 320. He was a big guy. And he told the guy he wanted him to do this, and the guy didn't want to do it. And I'm watching the match, and the guy wasn't doing nothing that Dick had told him to do. Dick got mad, and both of them were heels. Dick walked to the ring and beat the living crap out of him in the ring, and they rung the bell, and he walked out. And the guy come back, and I asked somebody, they were in the other dressing room. I said, what happened when he come back? They said, nothing. The guy come back, didn't say nothing. He just threw his stuff in the bag and left. Because Dick had told him to do this, and he didn't do it. Dick was the booker. Mm. And then he just went to the ring and just beat the living. He hit him about 3 or 4 times. See, Dick Murdoch had the reputation. They call it the 6-inch punch. When he would go back, I may have told you this before, he'd put his hands like this. And when somebody come in, bam, bam. And one night in West Palm Beach, Florida, he went to the ring, did something, jumped on some baby face. I think it was Dusty or somebody. And the people just, good house, good crowd. So when he's coming back to the ringside, they were trying to punch him, and he had cops here. But he would just, I bet he had, when he left and he came back, they were 3 laying on the floor at one time. Right in the aisle that the heels go into the ring, they were all laid out. So And nobody charged him with nothing. He just went and got in the car and left. And the next week he was there. There was no warrants for him or nothing. So they let it go. But he was a good guy. He really was.
I've got an update for you on the Patriot.
Here we go. Here we go.
So you remember you said, well, he probably never trademarked it. Well, apparently he didn't. This is Del Wilkes over his own character. Yep. So I'll say one thing about Tom Brandy first, and then I'll get to the thing. So apparently Tom Brandy, according to Del, was going to conventions and small conventions and saying, and people were asking, were you the Patriot in the WWF? And he was saying, yes, I was. And then apparently he was signing figures of the Patriot, WWF figures of the Patriot and selling them and stuff like that. So that was something that Del was really upset with. Here's the thing. Do you know who owns the trademark now to the Patriot gimmick? The Honky Tonk Man.
Oh, I read that.
Yeah, he bought it, apparently, because it wasn't trademarked, so he just trademarked it.
Mm-hmm. What's he do with it?
Nothing. I don't know. Not seen any Patriots running around for a while, so, I mean, maybe he's doing nothing, or maybe it was for a bonus for himself. Investment. Sounds like a bit of an investment, who knows?
Maybe. I don't know.
Right, we're going to do one more thing for a bit of fun at the end, and this is my personal suggestion, because someone sent this to me. Triple H's first promo, before he made it to even WCW, and it is awful, but I thought you'd want to watch it as well, so...
Well, let me see it.
We're going to key it up.
I think I've seen it before, but...
Oh, I've never seen it before. It was stunning.
You've never seen it?
I never saw this one, so I'm going to find it, and we're going to watch it one sec. Right, there's no volume on Instagram, but someone sent it to me on Instagram, so I'm passing the favour forward. We're going to watch Triple H's, if it's not his first promo, it's one of them.
Terrorizing, tell him, baby.
Mad Dog, it's about time you finally signed your name on the dotted line to me terrorizing. This man got it done. And tonight, in front of Middleborough and the entire world, you go down, baby. Terrorizing, taking it home.
Let me tell you something, Mad Dog Richard, you listen to Vito Carlucci and you listen good, buddy. By the time myself and Terrorizing get through with you, you're gonna be just like Dracula's elevator, baby. Think about it. You're going down for the count.
Middleborough, lock up your doors. I'm coming to your town. They better pray when I'm around.
Doesn't sound like no idle threats to me. Back to you guys.
Oh, what was that?
Oh.
What was any of that?
It was entertaining.
What was that guy's voice about? At least he had an interesting voice.
Yeah. Terrorizing. So, anyway.
There you go. That's Triple H's, if not first ever promo. Well, it should have been. That's how bad it was.
Well...
Hey, it had like every single... hang on, I'm going to watch it again.
Terrorizing, tell him, baby.
Right, so we've got Baby. I'm trying to think of wrestling tropes on the indies around this time. So, tell him, Baby.
Mad Dog, it's about time you finally signed your name on the dotted line to me terrorizing.
Right, so sign your name on the dotted line. We're coming to Middleborough, or whatever that is, and the whole world.
Middleborough, yeah.
This man got it done. And tonight... in front of Middleborough and the entire world.
Cliche again.
You go down, baby.
You go down, call him baby.
Baby.
That's weird hearing him say baby.
Terrorizing, taking it home.
Let me tell you something, Mad Dog Richard, you listen to Vito Carlucci and you listen...
I've just never heard of this. Vampire in an elevator, you're going down for the count.
Good, buddy. By the time myself and Terrorizing get through with you, you're gonna be just like Dracula's elevator, baby. Think about it. You're going down for the count.
Middleborough, lock up your doors. I'm coming to your town. They better pray when I'm around.
Damn, there's a lot of pointing as well. There's a lot of pointing.
Count Dracula.
You used to do a lot of pointing in your interviews, I seem to remember. At least your promo shots, you're always giving it one of them.
Oh, yeah, well. How many interviews do you think he had given up to this point?
1, 0, hopefully.
Hey, you gotta... My first interview, I was scared to death. And that's all I could do is just other things that I'd heard other guys say. And I had never even done you practice your interviews in the car, but there's nobody there to critique them or anything. And They said, go out and do this interview. And I went, oh my God. But, an interview can kill you, really. That didn't do him any favors. But that's where you need you need somewhere like a training school, or like, what do they call that? What do they call what they got in Orlando?
Oh, the performance center. Yeah, somewhere where you can practice these things before. So for your interview, what did you do then? You just practice it in the car on the way there, or do you even practice at that point?
No, I would practice it if I ever got one, and then I got one, and then it just bombed. I didn't get another one for about a year. So
how long did you have to wait to get your first interview?
Oh, about 4 months, 5 months, maybe more. I never said a word on TV. Never. I just got in the ring and got out.
And that's what we're going to do. We've got in the ring and now we're getting out. So everybody, thank you so much for watching once again. This Ask Dutch Anything, we're out every single Sunday, usually anyway. Barring last week and maybe next week as well. We're hoping Storytime won't be interrupted. I'm going to be away. I might do it while I'm away. Probably will do, assuming that the Wi-Fi is stable enough, and I'll try and get a bit of a script out and sort it all out, and then we'll have a nice question and answer session and do the news and do what we do like always. If we can't for whatever reason, then it'll be an internet issue on my end, and we'll have to skip a week. But other than that, it's not that big of a deal, I guess. We'll run some old content on YouTube. We've got plenty to do. But until then, you'll have to wait till Wednesday to see if Storytime with Dutch Mantell is out. Hopefully it will be, but until then, Dutch and everybody, thank you for watching. We the people.
We the people.